What's up, y'all? My name is JR, and for those of you who don't already know, I'm a huge movie and TV nerd. If you're new here, I appreciate you taking the time to check out my channel. I hope you consider sticking around and joining the film community I'm trying to build here on YouTube. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the STARZ Crime Drama Series, Raising Kanan, and how the writers of the series set up a major plot point this season over 4 years ago. And just so you guys know, this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't gotten around to watching this series yet and you don't want to know anything that happens in it, you might want to exit this video now. And with that being said, no more wasting time. Let's get into it. Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, or simply Raising Kanan, is a crime drama television series created by Sasha Penn that premiered on July 18th of 2021 on the STARZ network. It is a standalone prequel and second spin-off to Power. The series stars Mekhi Curtis as Kanan Stark, Patina Miller as Raquel Rock Thomas, London Brown as Marvin Thomas, Malcolm Mays as Lewis Lulu Thomas, Joey Badass as Kadeem Unique Mathis, Haley Kilgore as Laverne Jukebox Thomas, and Antonio Ortiz as Sean Famous Figueroa. The second season of the show premiered on August 14th of 2022, followed by the third season on December 1st of 2023. In November of 2023, ahead of the third season premiere, the series was renewed for a fourth season, which premiered on March 7th of this year. And on March 27th of 2024, the series was renewed for a fifth season. Now, at the time of the making of this video, this show surprisingly does not have a tomato score on Rotten Tomatoes, meaning that the critics have not reviewed it at all, but its popcorn meter currently sits at 86%. And also surprisingly, and similarly, the series does not yet have a Metascore on Metacritic either, even though there have been 4 critics who have reviewed the show, but it does have a user score of 6.4 based on just 8 user ratings. And finally, the series overall has a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb with almost 7,500 ratings. So look, Raising Kanan has been a pretty good watch for the most part to this point, primarily because I think the writers have paid fairly good attention to detail, which is absolutely necessary when you're writing a prequel series, because as a writer of a series like that, you're basically being tasked with filling in the gaps leading up to a series of events that have already been established in another show. And that's a lot different than starting from an endpoint in one show and continuing on, like the writers did with Power Book 2, Ghost. And with that in mind, there are lots of questions that were left unanswered in the original Power series, especially as it pertained to Kanan Stark. So I'll admit to you guys, I was pretty interested in following this story, and I have followed it ever since the pilot episode aired. But as we got into this season, there was one question that loomed large over the series from the very first episode. What happened to Famous? Now, you guys might remember that in the pilot episode of this series years ago, Kanan killed a kid named Buck 20 for selling drugs on a corner that he thought belonged to his mother. Now, he committed the murder with one of his best friends at the time, D-Wiz. And unbeknownst to the pair, Rock had given up the corner to Buck 20's boss, Unique, before the event took place. Now, fearful that Unique would retaliate against her son, Rock ordered Lulu to kill D-Wiz in order to serve him up as the shooter, in order to protect her son from retaliation from Unique. Now, this was the writers establishing that Rock would kill to protect her son. And this would become an important plot point in the story moving forward, considering the fact that we just learned in episode 7 of this season that it may have been Rock who hired corrupt police officers to kill Famous, because she heard that after he was arrested for the murder of Freddie Williams, that he was cooperating with law enforcement, apparently afraid that Famous might give up Kanan and maybe even give her up and her brothers as part of a deal. Now, at the end of episode 5 of this season, Famous's body was found tucked under an old mattress in an abandoned building. And ever since then, we've all been wondering who killed him. Before that, Famous was simply absent from the show, with both Kanan and Jukebox Well, and Lou as well, all wondering where he was, along with his mother, who had been badgering police about his whereabouts, and his sister, who was out in California, where she moved to pursue a music management position. Now, there were a lot of people who speculated that Famous eventually went to prison for killing Freddie, and that he might even be the Hispanic man that Kanan was playing chess with, locked up in the first season of Power before he would eventually be released. But from the moment season 4 started and Famous was nowhere to be found, I knew he was dead. Just call it screenwriter's intuition. Because even if Kanan, Juke, Lou, his mother, and his sister were ignorant of his whereabouts, we would have eventually gotten a scene with Famous in it, even if it was him all by himself somewhere hiding, if he was still alive. The fact that we didn't get a single scene with him in it told me all I needed to know. He wasn't even listed on IMDb, and even when his body was found in the show, we never saw it, which means that Antonio Ortiz was never even contracted for this season. And that's how I knew. And once my suspicion was realized, I started thinking about who could have done away with him. Of course, there's Unique, who has been on a rampage this entire season after what happened between him and his brother. But I have to tell you guys that my main suspect was always Rock. And it turns out that I may have been right, just not about how she went about doing it. Because I honestly thought that Marvin would have been the one who would have done it on her orders, but it turns out that she may have had some crooked cops put Famous down. Now, we know this because Freddie's friends at the basketball court said that they heard that police had done away with Famous when Kanan and Jukebox confronted them in episode 6. And now this could have been screenwriter's sleight of hand, because I always tell you guys, when you get plot information by way of character dialogue, you always have to wonder if that information can be trusted. Because the character could be mistaken about what they're saying. They could also be point blank lying, especially with a gun pointed at their heads, right? But it would appear, at least to this point, that Rock had Famous put down, because in episode 7, after Kanan and Juke talk about the fact that Freddie's friends said that the police had done away with Famous, Juke explains that the call had to come from the streets. And then, as Kanan is out looking for OC, who has gone missing because OC is, informing on Kanan's doings to Unique, Kanan happens across his mother handing over an envelope full of money to a couple of cops on the street corner. And this seems to be something that brings it all together for Kanan, because he has this oh crap eureka look on his face as he drives past. And then at the end of the episode, we find Kanan sitting at home, his apartment, in the dark as Crystal enters, and he tells her that he knows that it was his mother who did away with his friend. Now, I think Raising Kanan is the second best show in the Power universe, primarily because it's a show that fills in the blanks for me. This show was designed to answer questions, again, that were left unanswered in the original series, like what happened to Kanan's family after he got out of prison. Why were Kanan and Jukebox estranged to the point where he would flee New York, go to DC, ask for her help, and then kill her? Who the hell is Breeze? And when do Young Ghost and Tommy show up in all of this? These are all questions that made me excited to watch this show. And though we haven't exactly gotten all those answers just yet, the answer to this question is maybe the most important outside of the ones that I just named. And the answer, if indeed we can trust the information that we've been given in this episode, is not only great dramatic and organizational plotting by the writers, but it's a real punch to the gut for true fans of the show. But what do you guys think? Are you all caught up on Raising Kanan? If you are, what do you think about Rock ordering Famous's death? Let me know in the comments. And for those of you that might be new to the channel, be sure to like and share this video. If you really like the content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. You can also now support the channel by leaving a super thanks. If you should be so inclined, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, be sure to go and check out themadScreenwriter.com for more television and film reviews and info on my upcoming film projects. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I got screenplays to write, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.